Dear students, you have learned to join or combine two or more than two sentences into a complex sentence by using noun clause. But today you will learn how to join two or more than two sentences into a complex sentence by using adjective clause or relative clause. Now, here for the first time you will see what adjective clause or relative clause is. Suppose in the sentence Rabindranath, who is a great poet, composed the Gitanjali. Here in this sentence, you will see that Rabindranath is the noun word about whom the relative pronoun is used in order to refer to Rabindranath. Who is a great poet, this part is used to describe something about Rabindranath. And next, in the part compose the Gitanjali, here this is the information with the finite verb composed. Here composed is the finite verb. And here is also another finite verb. According to the definition of clause, how many finite verbs are there in a sentence, how many clauses are there. So, in this sentence you will have to analyze first, Rabindranath composed the Gitanjali, this is the principal clause. And who is a great poet, this is a clause which is called the subordinating clause. And who is a great poet, this clause is used to describe something about Rabindranath. But this is not the necessary part or essential part to describe something about Rabindranath. So here you will see who is a great poet. Here who is the relative pronoun, but here the relative pronoun may also be described as the subordinating conjunction, because a subordinating clause must start with the subordinating conjunction. And here who is the subordinating conjunction, but for the particularization of the word, you have to describe the word as the relative pronoun. Here who is the relative pronoun, but here this word is used in order to refer to Rabindranath, the person. Who is a great poet, this is the subordinating clause. Now, as there is only one principal clause, Rabindranath composed the Gitanjali with one or more than one subordinating clause. Here one subordinating clause is there. Who is a great poet? So this is a complex sentence. And here this subordinating clause is described as the adjective clause or relative clause. Why is it called adjective clause or relative clause? An adjective clause is the clause that does the function of an adjective. But the relative clause, relative pronoun or relative adverb is there at the beginning of the relative clause. And here the relative clause describes or shows the relationship with the noun or the pronoun. So this is in another way or another sense may be termed as a relative clause. But before going to join into complex sentence by using adjective clause or relative clause, you will have to see how relative clause or adjective clause may be framed. For the first time, relative clause or adjective clause may be constructed with the relative pronoun or relative adverb, such as relative pronouns such as that, which, who, whom, whose, and the relative adverbs such as when, where, why, how, etc. That, which, who, whom, whose, etc. are called relative pronouns. These relative pronouns may be used in order to frame the sentence containing the adjective clause or relative clause. Now, at the time of making the sentence with the adjective clause or relative clause, you will have to see the antecedent. Now see what antecedent is. Antecedent. Antecedent. What antecedent is? Antecedent is the noun or pronoun. Antecedent is the noun or pronoun to which the relative pronoun or the relative adverb refers. Now see the antecedent. Suppose it is Ram who is guilty. Here, who is the relative pronoun? Who refers to Ram. Ram is the noun word. So, Ram is the antecedent. Antecedent is the noun or pronoun to which the relative pronoun or relative adverb refers. Here, this relative pronoun refers to Ram. So, Ram is the antecedent. Suppose it is you who are guilty. Who is the relative pronoun? This relative pronoun refers to you. You is the pronoun. Here you is called antecedent. So an antecedent may be either a noun or a pronoun. Here just after the noun or the pronoun, the relative pronoun, it may also be the relative adverb. The relative pronoun or the relative adverb is used. Here, who is the relative pronoun? Who is the relative pronoun in the second sentence? Because here Ram is the person, you are also the person. So, at the time of using the adjective clause, you will have to see what adjective clause is really. Here, adjective clause does the function of an adjective. So, in this part, you will see that who is guilty. This is called subordinating clause. This subordinating clause is used to describe Ram, to say something about Ram. So this subordinating clause is called adjective clause because it does the function of an adjective. Who is guilty? Who is guilty? Ram is guilty here. So this part is used to describe Ram. And it is in the second sentence also, it is you who are guilty. Who are guilty is the subordinating clause. This subordinating clause is used to say something about you. So in the second sentence also, you will see that who are guilty. This subordinating clause is also used as the adjective clause or relative clause. Now, you will see how two or more than two sentences can be joined by using adjective clause or relative clause. And in this respect, you will have to see adjective clause is of or relative clause is of two types. Suppose Rabindranath is a great poet. He composed the Gitanjali. Here these are the two sentences. Now see how these two sentences can be joined by using relative clause. Here Rabindranath is to be taken. Now is a great poet. This is an information about Rabindranath. Composed the Gitanjali. This is also another information. Here Rabindranath is the noun word. So at the time of joining the two sentences into a complex sentence, you will have to join by using the relative pronoun who. Who is a great poet? Who is a great poet? Composed the Gitanjali. In this sentence, you will see Rabindranath composed the Gitanjali. This is the principal clause, and who is a great poet? This is called subordinating clause. This subordinating clause is used here to describe something about Rabindranath. Here in this sentence, you will see who is a great poet. This subordinating clause is used as the subordinating clause or the relative clause, subordinating relative clause or the adjective clause. But here Rabindranath is the noun word. Just after Rabindranath, you will have to use a comma. Then, just after using the comma, you have to describe the part who is a great poet within the comma. Here, who is a great poet is the subordinating clause. This subordinating clause has been used here within the commas because here this subordinating clause is also to be termed as a non-identifying clause also. This subordinating clause is also to be termed as a non-identifying clause. Non-identifying clause. Non-identifying clause. What is non-identifying clause? This may also be termed as a non-defining clause or non-descriptive clause also. Here you have to see what non-identifying clause is. Here this is called non-identifying clause because here this clause is not necessary or essential to describe something about Rabindranath. Here if I ask you the questions, who composed the Gitanjali? You will clearly answer, Rabindranath composed the Gitanjali. If you omit this part, no question will arise in our mind. So in this respect, this part is not necessary to describe something about Rabindranath. This is the main part. Rabindranath composed the Gitanjali. Here Rabindranath composed the Gitanjali. This is the principal clause. And here subordinating clause is used not to identify Rabindranath. There are so many Rabindranaths in our villages or in our countries. But only the great poet Rabindranath composed the Gitanjali. So, this is not the information which is not essential to identify the particular Rabindranath who composed the Gitanjali. So, in this respect, you have to term this subordinating clause as the non-identifying clause because it is not used to identify Rabindranath. Not necessary, not essential to identify Rabindranath. So this is called non-identifying clause. So relative clause is of two types and one is there as the non-identifying clause. And who is a great poet here is the example of non-identifying clause. But this is also the relative clause or adjective clause. But here it is particularly termed as a non-identifying clause. And here now see what is the essential features of a non-identifying clause. Now in the non-identifying clause, as it is the information which is not essential or necessary to describe something about Rabindranath. This is called, or this is the information as the non-essential or inessential information. Inessential information. So, a non-identifying clause supplies an inessential information. Inessential means not essential, not necessary. And here, in the non-identifying clause, you have to use commas. The extra information is to be kept within commas. Such type of clause is called non-identifying clause. This clause must take the commas. This subordinating clause must take the commas. Now, in another example also, you will see where commas are not used. Suppose a boy came here yesterday. The boy is my brother. Here there are two sentences with the two informations. A boy came here yesterday. The boy is my brother. There are two informations given in the two sentences about the same person. And here, at the time of joining into complex sentence by using adjective clause or relative clause, you will have to join in this way. Now see, there is the noun word, the boy, about whom the informations are given, the boy. Next, you will have to use the relative pronoun instead of the boy, who. Who came here yesterday? Who came here yesterday? Yesterday. Who came here yesterday? Next, the part is my brother is to be written. Is my brother. Now see the principal clause. The boy is my brother is the principal clause. Who came here yesterday? This is the clause which is used something about the boy, that is to be described as the subordinating clause. But if I ask you, what type of subordinating clause is this? Here, who came here yesterday is the subordinating clause used to describe something about the particularly boy who came here yesterday. Or in this sentence, you will see that the boy is my brother. Who is your brother or who is my brother? If I ask you the question, who is your brother? If you only say that the boy is my brother, there will be the question. So, an essential information is to be supplied to describe about the particular boy, the boy who came, who is your brother. Here, who came here yesterday is the part which is to be described something about the boy. So, this subordinating clause is used here to describe or to supply the essential information about the particular boy who is your brother. So, this subordinating clause is used as the identifying clause. Identifying clause. IDENTIFYING. Identifying clause. This is the subordinating relative clause. Because a relative pronoun is there. Who is the relative pronoun? It refers to the boy. The boy is the noun word. And the boy is used here as the antecedent. As there is the antecedent, and just after the antecedent there is the relative pronoun to introduce something about the boy. Here, who came here yesterday, this subordinating clause is used here as the subordinating clause to particularize the boy. Who is your brother or who is my brother? Here, the boy is my brother. This principal clause is used here with the subordinating clause. Who came here yesterday? But now see, in this sentence, who came here yesterday, this is called identifying clause. And now see the essential features of the identifying clause. In the identifying clause, you have seen that no commas are used here. Here the boy who came here yesterday, no commas are used here in this sentence. Who came here yesterday? Here in the identifying clause, the essential informations, it supplies the essential informations. Essential information. INFORMATION. Essential information. This clause supplies essential information. That is, identifying clause supplies or expresses essential information about the antecedent. And no commas are to be used here. No commas are used in the identifying clause. And in the first example I have given to you, Rabindranath, just after Rabindranath you have used commas, but here in the second sentence I have not used any commas, because here this subordinating clause is used something about the particular boy who is my brother. Here the boy is my brother is the principal clause who came here yesterday. This is the subordinating identifying clause. And always you will see that to use a commas, you must keep in mind the identifying clause or the non-identifying clause. Wherever you will see that there is the identifying clause, no commas are to be used. But in the non-identifying clause, you have to use commas. Now, in another example, suppose some travelers got exhausted. Some travelers got exhausted. They stayed at the hotel for the night. Here in these two sentences you have seen that there are two informations. Got information, got exhausted, EXHAUSTED, exhausted. They stayed at the hotel for the night. These two informations are given about the same persons, the travelers. Some travelers. Here at the time of joining these two sentences into a complex sentence by using relative clause, you have to use in this way. Suppose some travelers, here at the time of writing the sentence, you will have to remove some. Instead of it, you will have to use the particular travelers, the travelers, TRAVELLERS, the travelers. Next, who got exhausted? Who got EXHAUSTED? Who got exhausted? Stayed at the hotel for the night. Stayed at the hotel for the night. The travelers who got exhausted stayed at the hotel for the night. Here in this sentence, these are the joining. This is the joining of the two sentences. Some travelers got exhausted, they stayed at the hotel for the night. And now see, the travelers who got exhausted, stayed at the hotel for the night. Suppose in the second joining, in the first joining, you have seen that the travelers stayed at the hotel for the night, and in the second sentence also, the travelers stayed at the hotel for the night. No difference is there, but you have used commas, suppose, in the second sentence. The travelers, next, you have used a comma, and exhausted, just after exhausted, you have used a comma. What is the meaning or what is the difference between the two uses? Now see, it is a vital point or vital factor to use commas or not to use commas. Now see, who got exhausted? This is used within commas. But here you have not used any commas in the first example. Both are the joining of the two sentences. But here in the second example you have used a comma, and in the first example you have not used any commas. What is the difference? Now see. Suppose there are 40 travelers in all. There are 40 travelers in all. This is if I calculate, or if I identify, or if I want to identify the particular travelers who got exhausted. Suppose here if I want to calculate the travelers in this way according to the mathematical calculation, here the travelers who got exhausted, suppose I have to take the number 40. Suppose there are 40 travelers in all, and when you will say that who got exhausted at the time of joining without using any commas, it means that suppose 20 of them, that is out of 40 got exhausted. How many of the 40 travelers stayed at the hotel for the night? This is the easy calculation according to the mathematics. Here 20 stayed at the hotel for the night. This is the calculation. This is called identifying clause. In the identifying clause, you have seen that the essential information has been given here to particularize or to identify the particular travelers who got exhausted. Out of 40 travelers, there were 40 travelers in all, and out of 40 travelers, only 2 travelers got exhausted. When you have seen that only 20 of them got exhausted, then you have to separate the tired travelers, exhausted travelers. And here 20 out of 40. So 20 stayed at the hotel for the night. And in the principal clause you have to read in this way: the travelers stayed at the hotel for the night. Here this is the principal clause, and here who got exhausted. This subordinating clause is used here as the subordinating clause. But what type of subordinating clause is this? This subordinating clause is used here as the identifying clause, because this is the essential information about the particular travelers who got exhausted. So, in the identifying clause, you have not or you will not use any commas. But in the second example, you will see that you have used, suppose, commas. The travelers who got exhausted stayed at the hotel for the night. Here the calculation will be made in this way. Suppose there are 40 travelers in all. When you will say that who got exhausted using commas, it will mean that this is the inessential information. So, this inessential information is not used to identify the travelers. So, you have to mind it. All of the travelers got exhausted, all of them stayed at the hotel for the night. So, here in the principal clause, 40 out of 40 stayed at the hotel for the night. Whenever you will see that there is the inessential information in the subordinating clause, there you will not use the information as the necessary information to identify the particular travelers. So, in this way, you have to join the two or more than two sentences into complex sentence by using adjective clause.